The housekeeper who had been part of our family for 20 years. Is she really my husband's first love? Could she be my daughter's real mother? That is impossible. How could they have hidden from me for 20 years, as family secrets resurface, forbidden love, betrayal, and a mother's silent sacrifice? One truth threatens to destroy everything. Before we begin the story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it truly helps support this channel. The afternoon light filtered through the library windows, catching dust particles that danced in the air. I had been putting off this task for months. Years, really. Our old library had become a graveyard of forgotten things, and today I finally decided to face it. I pulled books from the mahogany shelves one by one, wiping away the dust. Some volumes I hadn't touched since Garrett and I first moved into this house 20 years ago. My fingers worked methodically, creating order from chaos. It felt good, productive, normal. Then I reached for a leather-bound collection of poetry on the top shelf. As I pulled it free, something fluttered down behind the remaining books. A piece of paper. Yellowed, folded. My hand trembled slightly as I reached for it. Why, I couldn't say. Just a feeling. The paper felt brittle between my fingers. Old. The ink had faded to a soft brown, but the handwriting was still legible. Feminine. Careful. I unfolded it slowly. It was a letter, addressed to Garrett. The date at the top made my breath catch. 22 years ago. I read the words aloud, my voice barely a whisper in the empty room. I will have this child. I want this child to live with you. I swear that I will watch our baby growing up closely. The words hit me like cold water. 22 years ago? My mind raced, calculating. Lily is 22 now. She would have been born around that time. Maybe a little after. My heart began to pound. Hard, fast. Who could have written this? Who would promise to watch a baby grow up closely? And then the thought came, unbidden and terrible. Oh my God, is Lily actually my husband's daughter? But that couldn't be right. Garrett had told me about Lily's parents. His cousin and his cousin's wife. The car accident. The tragedy that left a 1-year-old girl orphaned. I had believed him. We had raised Lily together. She was ours. Wasn't she? I looked at the letter again. The careful script. The promise. I will watch our baby growing up closely. Who had been watching Lily? Who had been close to us all these years? My hands shook as I folded the letter. 22 years of secrets, hiding in plain sight. 22 years of someone watching. Waiting. I needed answers, and Garrett was going to give them to me. I stood in the library, the letter clutched in my hand, and my mind drifted back. Back to the beginning. Back to when I first met Garrett Monroe. 21 years ago, our families had other plans for us. Business plans. My father ran a successful investment firm. Garrett's father owned a manufacturing empire. A marriage between their children would strengthen both companies. Merge resources. Create something bigger. Neither of us wanted it at first. I remember our first arranged dinner. Garrett sat across from me at that expensive restaurant, looking as trapped as I felt. We made awkward small talk. Complained about our parents. laughed at the absurdity of it all. But then something unexpected happened. We kept talking. Hours passed. The restaurant staff began cleaning around us, and we barely noticed. Garrett was charming, funny. He had this way of making me feel seen, heard, understood. Within a month, we were dating for real. Not because our families wanted it, but because we wanted it. 4 months into our relationship, Garrett came to my place one evening. His face looked pale, strained. He sat down heavily on my couch and told me something that broke my heart. Garrett's voice had been quiet that night. My cousin and his wife were in a car accident 3 days ago. They didn't make it. I had reached for his hand. Oh, no, gosh. Garrett, I'm so sorry. They have a daughter, Garrett had continued. She's 1 year old, just a baby. No other family who can take her. I had waited, knowing what was coming next. I want to raise her, Diana, Garrett had said, looking into my eyes. I know it's a lot to ask. I know we haven't been together long. But I can't let her go. She's family. What could I say to that? Here was this man, willing to take on the responsibility of raising his cousin's orphaned child. It spoke to his character, his heart, his loyalty to family. I had told him yes. Of course, yes. We would raise this little girl together. 7 months later, Garrett and I married. Lily was 2 years old by then. A beautiful toddler with dark curls and curious eyes. She called me Mama within weeks. My heart had melted every single time. Garrett and I built a life together. A beautiful life. We had our son, Colin, 2 years after the wedding. He was 19 now, kind, grounded, protective of his older sister. Lily had grown into an extraordinary young woman. 22 years old, smart, warm, empathetic. She was studying psychology at college in San Francisco. She wanted to help people, understand them, make a difference in the world. I had been so proud of her. Every accomplishment, every milestone, every moment of watching her become who she is. Garrett and I used to sit together in the evenings, reminiscing about Lily's childhood. Her first steps, her first day of school. The way she always wanted to help cook dinner, even when she was too small to reach the counter. The time she tried to give Colin her favorite stuffed animal because he was crying. She had always been thoughtful, gentle, full of love. For 20 years, I had believed the story Garrett told me. The cousin, the car accident, the orphaned baby who needed us. But now, standing in this library with a 22-year-old letter in my hand, I wondered if any of it had been true. Had Garrett lied to me from the very beginning? And if he had lied about this, what else had been a lie? Garrett came home at 6:30 that evening. I heard his car in the driveway. The familiar sound of his keys in the door. His footsteps in the hallway. I was sitting in the living room, waiting. The letter lay on the coffee table in front of me. Garrett walked in with a smile. Hey, honey. Sorry I'm late. The meeting ran long and he stopped. His eyes found the letter. Then my face. The smile disappeared. Diana. His voice changed completely. Where did you find that? In the library, I said. My voice sounded calm, steady. I didn't feel calm. Inside, I was screaming. Behind some books on the top shelf. Garrett, it's been there for 22 years. 22 years. Garrett's face went pale. He sank into the chair across from me. His hands gripped the armrests. I can explain, he said quietly. Then explain. I leaned forward. Explain who wrote this letter. Explain why someone promised to watch our baby grow up closely. Explain what you've been hiding from me. Garrett closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were filled with something I'd never seen before. Not quite fear, not quite shame, something darker, heavier. The letter is from someone I dated before I met you, Garrett said slowly. Before our families arranged anything. Before we even knew each other. My stomach twisted. Go on. She was pregnant, Garrett continued. His voice barely above a whisper. With my child. With Lily. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the couch to steady myself. What? The word came out broken. What are you saying? Garrett leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. Lily isn't my cousin's daughter. There was no car accident. No cousin who died. I made that up. He looked at me with desperate eyes. Lily is my biological daughter. Her mother left her with me shortly after she was born and disappeared. I never heard from her again. I couldn't breathe. 20 years. 20 years of lies. 20 years of raising a child based on a complete fabrication. Why? I managed to ask. Why would you lie about something like that? Garrett's face crumpled. Because I was ashamed. Because I was a coward. Because I didn't know how else to explain it. Explain it now, I said, my voice sharp. Explain everything. Garrett took a shaky breath. I loved her. Or I thought I did. We dated for almost a year. She came from a modest background. Nothing fancy. She worked as a waitress while going to community college. She was smart, kind, real. He paused, rubbing his face with his hands. My father found out about the relationship. He was furious. Absolutely furious. He said she wasn't suitable. That she would ruin our family's reputation. That I needed to end it immediately. But she was pregnant, I said. Yes. Garrett's voice broke. She told me she was pregnant, and I told my father. I thought. I don't know what I thought. Maybe that he would accept it. That he would come around. But he didn't. No, he gave me an ultimatum. End the relationship, or he would cut me off completely. Disown me. Remove me from the company. I would have nothing. I stared at him. This man I thought I knew. This man I had built a life with. He offered her money, Garrett continued. $500,000 to disappear. To give up baby or put the baby up for adoption and never contact us again. My father's lawyer drew up papers. Non-disclosure agreements. Everything legal and binding. And what did she do? I asked, though part of me already knew. She refused the money. Garrett's voice held a note of admiration, even now. She looked my father right in the eye and said no. She said she was having the baby whether we liked it or not. That it was her choice. Her body. Her child. I felt a strange respect for this woman I'd never met. This woman who had stood up to Garrett's intimidating father. So what did you do? I asked, though I already knew that answer too. Garrett's shoulders sagged. I gave in. I broke up with her. I told her I couldn't be with her anymore. That my family came first. That I had responsibilities. She was 6 months pregnant when I walked away. The pain in his voice was real. I could hear it, see it, but my own pain was bigger, sharper. And then what? I pressed. She had the baby and disappeared? She had Lily, Garrett said. I didn't even know at first. She didn't tell me when she went into labor. Didn't call me to the hospital. But 3 weeks after Lily was born, she showed up at my place with a car seat and a diaper bag. She put Lily in my arms and said, "This is your daughter. You said your family comes first. She's your family." Tears streamed down Garrett's face. She walked out. I tried to follow her. Tried to talk to her. But she was gone. I called her phone. It was disconnected. I went to her apartment. She'd moved out. I had no way to find her. I sat there, processing. Trying to understand. So you had a baby. A newborn. And no one to help you raise her. My father refused to acknowledge her, Garrett said bitterly. He said I'd made my choice. That if I kept the baby, I was on my own. But he didn't disown me. He pretended Lily didn't exist, pretended I didn't have a daughter. And then our families arranged for us to meet, I said slowly. Yes. A year later, my father thought marriage would stabilize me, make me more serious about the business. And your father wanted the merger. It was perfect for everyone. Garrett looked at me with haunted eyes. Except I had a 1-year-old daughter no one knew about, so you made up the story about your cousin. Yes. I told you they died in a car accident. That I was the only family Lily had. That I wanted to raise her. And you. His voice broke again. You were so kind, so compassionate. You didn't hesitate. You said yes immediately. You welcomed Lily into your life without question. I felt nauseous, betrayed, used. I fell in love with you, Diana, Garrett said desperately. That part was real. Everything between us was real. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't know how to tell you the truth. And then years passed. And Colin was born. And we were a family, happy family, and I thought maybe it didn't matter anymore. Maybe the truth didn't matter as long as we were happy. I stood up. My legs felt shaky, but I needed to move. Needed space. 20 years, Garrett, I said, my voice trembling with anger and hurt. You lied to me for 20 years. Every day, every night, every moment we shared. It was all built on a lie. I'm sorry, Garrett whispered. Diana, I'm so sorry. I looked at him. This man I loved. This man I trusted. This stranger. I don't even know who you are, I said softly. 21 years together, and I don't know you at all. Garrett reached for me, but I stepped back. Diana, please. I know I was wrong. I know I should have told you from the beginning. But please believe me when I say that my love for you is real. My love for our family is real. I shook my head. Our family? Does Lily know? Does she know that I'm not her mother? No, no, Garrett said quickly. No, she thinks you are her mother. And you think she doesn't deserve to know the truth? My voice raised. She's 22 years old, Garrett. She has a right to know who she is. Where she comes from. Not now, Garrett said, panic in his voice. Maybe later. Or maybe never. Why hurt her with this? She's happy. She loves you. She loves us. Why destroy that? I looked at this man, and something inside me shifted. Hardened. I need time, I said. I need time to think. To process this. To figure out what this means for us. Diana, just go, Garrett. Please, just go. He stood slowly, his movements heavy with defeat. He walked toward the door, then stopped. For what it's worth, he said without turning around, you are Lily's mother. In every way that matters. You raised her, loved her, shaped who she is. That part is real. That part is true. Then he left. I sank back onto the couch and picked up the letter. Read it again. I swear that I will watch our baby growing up closely. But Garrett said she disappeared. Said she was gone forever. So who had been watching Lily all these years? Sleep didn't come that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing in circles. Always coming back to the same line. The same promise. I swear that I will watch our baby growing up closely. Not from a distance. Not through Facebook photos or occasional check-ins. Closely. Garrett insisted Lily's biological mother had disappeared. That she'd walked away and never looked back. But the letter contradicted everything he said. This wasn't a woman planning to abandon her child. This was a woman making a vow. A sacred promise. So who had been watching? I thought about everyone who had been part of Lily's life. Every teacher, every friend's parent, every neighbor, every person who had been there, year after year, watching her grow. Could it have been Miss Patricia, Lily's dance teacher? She had taught Lily from age 5 to 16. Seen her through recitals and competitions. Knew her schedule, her friends, her dreams. But Miss Patricia had moved to Arizona 3 years ago. Retired. Gone. What about Joanne, my assistant at work? She had been with me for 15 years. Knew everything about my family. Attended Lily's birthday parties. Helped plan her high school graduation. But Joanne was too young. Only 38 now. The timeline didn't fit. Then there was Beverly, our neighbor 2 houses down. She had picked Lily up from school countless times when Garrett and I were both working. Watched her play in our yard. Brought over cookies and lemonade on summer afternoons. Beverly had always taken such an interest in Lily. Asked about her grades, her college applications, her future plans. Could it be Beverly? I thought about Lily's best friend's mother, Karen. They had been so close for years. Karen had hosted sleepovers and driven the girls to the mall. She'd been there for every milestone. Or maybe someone else entirely. Someone I hadn't even considered. Someone hiding in plain sight. But then doubt crept in. Maybe Garrett was right. Maybe the woman really had disappeared. Maybe she'd written those words full of conviction but lost her nerve. Maybe she'd realized she couldn't bear to watch from the shadows and had left for good. Maybe I was being paranoid. Creating mysteries where none existed. Seeing conspiracies in coincidences. 22 years was a long time. People moved, changed, disappeared from each other's lives. Still, something in my gut told me I was missing something obvious. Something important. Someone had been watching Lily closely for 22 years. I just needed to figure out who. Days passed after my confrontation with Garrett. The house felt different now. Heavier, like the walls themselves were holding secrets. Garrett and I barely spoke. We moved around each other carefully. Politely, like strangers sharing space. He slept in the guest room. I didn't ask him to. He just did. I kept thinking about that line from the letter. I swear that I will watch our baby growing up closely. Kept running through every person who had been part of Lily's life. But nobody fit. Nobody made sense. Then Lily called to say she was coming home for her birthday. Hearing her voice made my heart ache. My daughter. My beautiful, brilliant daughter who didn't know that her entire life was built on lies. "Mom, I can't wait to see you," Lily said, her voice bright and happy. "Is Maris coming? I've been craving her tiramisu for months." Maris. Of course. How could I have forgotten? "I'll call her," I promised. "You know she'd never miss your birthday." After hanging up with Lily, I immediately dialed Maris Flynn, our former housekeeper, though she was so much more than that. She had been part of our family for 18 years. Maris had started working for us 20 years ago, right after Garrett and I got married. She was 30 then, quiet, hard-working, gentle. Everything we needed as we adjusted to marriage and raising a toddler. For 18 years, Maris had been there. Cleaning our home, preparing meals, helping with school pickups. She had watched both Lily and Colin grow up. Celebrated every milestone with us. Birthday parties, graduations, holidays. She was steady, reliable, constant. And she had become my friend. Not just an employee, a real friend. We talked while she worked. Shared stories. Laughed together. She knew my life better than almost anyone. Maris had retired 2 years ago when Lily left for college. The timing had been perfect. I was slowing down at work. Colin could drive himself places. We didn't need as much help. And Maris had said she was ready to rest. To enjoy life a little. She'd worked hard for so long. We'd stayed in touch, though. Phone calls every few weeks. Coffee dates when our schedules aligned. She was still part of our lives. Still part of our family. "Diana," Maris answered warmly. "How wonderful to hear from you." "Lily's coming home for her birthday," I said. "And you know what that means." Maris laughed. "Tiramisu. Would you come over the day before? Help me make it? It wouldn't be the same without you." "I'd love to," Maris said without hesitation. "You know I'd never miss Lily's birthday." The affection in her voice was unmistakable. Maris had always been fond of both children. But there was something special about how she talked about Lily. A warmth. A tenderness. I'd always thought it was because Lily was the older child. Because Maris had known her longer. Watched her grow from a toddler into a young woman. Now, talking to Maris about Lily's upcoming visit, I felt grateful. Grateful that through all the lies and betrayal and confusion, at least some things remained constant. Some relationships remained pure. Maris would come over tomorrow. We would bake together like we'd done dozens of times before. And for a few hours, maybe I could pretend everything was normal. That my world hadn't been turned upside down. That the foundation of my marriage wasn't crumbling beneath my feet. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Maris arrived at 2 in the afternoon. I watched her walk up the driveway, carrying her old canvas bag. The same bag she'd brought to work for 18 years. She looked the same. Silver-streaked brown hair pulled back in a neat bun. Simple clothes. A gentle smile on her face. I opened the door before she could knock. "Maris, come in." She hugged me like she always did. Warm, brief, comfortable. "Diana, it's so good to see you. The house looks beautiful." We settled into the kitchen. The day before Lily's birthday dinner. Lily was at her best friend's house. Colin was still at school. Garrett was still at work. Just the two of us. Like so many afternoons before. Maris moved around the kitchen with easy familiarity. She knew where everything was. The mixing bowls, the espresso, the cocoa powder. Her hands worked steadily, preparing the tiramisu that Lily loved so much. We talked while she worked. Small talk at first. How was retirement? How was Lily doing in San Francisco? How was Colin handling his sophomore year? But I couldn't focus on the conversation. I kept looking at Maris. Really looking at her. Studying her face. Her mannerisms. The way she moved. And then, as she whisked the mascarpone, I saw it. Or maybe I'd always seen it and just never noticed. The shape of her eyes. The curve of her smile. The gentle way she held her head when she concentrated. Lily had the same expressions. The same quiet grace. My heart started pounding. I needed to know. I couldn't spend another day wondering. Guessing. Torturing myself with possibilities. "Maris," I said, my voice shakier than I intended. "I need to tell you something." She looked up from the bowl. "Of course. What is it?" I took a breath. "I found a letter. A few days ago. In the library. It was hidden behind some books." Maris went very still. Her hands stopped moving. "It was addressed to Garrett," I continued. "From 22 years ago. From a woman who was pregnant. Who promised to watch her baby grow up closely." The color drained from Maris's face. Her fingers trembled around the whisk. "I confronted Garrett," I said, watching her carefully. "He told me that Lily isn't his cousin's daughter. That the whole story about the car accident was a lie. He told me that Lily is his biological daughter. That her mother left her with him and disappeared." The whisk slipped from Maris's hand. It clattered against the bowl. Then the bowl itself tilted. Fell. Shattered on the kitchen floor. Mascarpone and broken ceramic everywhere. Maris just stood there, staring at the mess. Her hands shaking. Her face pale as paper. I moved quickly, kneeling to pick up the larger pieces. "It's okay. Don't worry about it. We can clean this up." But Maris didn't move. She looked like she might faint. "Maris?" I stood up, concerned now. "Are you all right?" She blinked. Seemed to come back to herself. "Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened." Her voice sounded strange, tight, controlled. "Here, sit down," I said, guiding her to a chair. "Let me get you some water." But Maris shook her head. "No, I think I just need to rest for a moment. Getting old does this, I suppose. Makes you shaky." She wouldn't meet my eyes. This woman who had always looked at me directly. Honestly, now she stared at her hands. At the floor. Anywhere but at me. Garrett came home an hour later. By then, we had cleaned up the mess, made a new batch of mascarpone, resumed working on the tiramisu. But the easy comfort between us was gone, replaced by something heavy, awkward, wrong. When Garrett walked into the kitchen, Maris's whole body tensed. She couldn't look at him either. Her hands fumbled with the ladyfinger cookies she was arranging. Garrett's eyes moved from me to Maris and back again, his face carefully neutral. "Maris, good to see you." Maris nodded but said nothing. Just kept working, faster now, desperate to finish. 15 minutes later, she wiped her hands on a towel. "I'm not feeling well," Maris said abruptly. "I think I should go home. Rest before tomorrow's dinner." I frowned. "Are you sure? You just got here." "I'm sure." Maris was already gathering her things, moving toward the door. "I'll be fine by tomorrow. Just need some sleep." She had never left early before. Not once in 18 years. She had worked through colds and headaches and exhaustion. She had stayed late countless times. Never complained. Never left before her work was done. But now she practically ran for the door. I walked her out, watched her hurry to her car, drive away too fast. That night, after Lily's birthday dinner had ended and the guests had left, I called Maris to thank her, to check on her, to make sure she was okay. No answer. I tried again an hour later. Still nothing. I sent a text. No response. I sat at the kitchen table, my phone in my hand, and looked at Garrett. He was loading the dishwasher, moving slowly, deliberately not looking at me. "Maris acted strange today," I said carefully. Garrett's hands paused, just for a second, then he continued loading plates. "Did she? How so?" "She dropped a bowl, broke it, she was shaking, and then she left early." I watched his face. "She never leaves early." Garrett said nothing, just kept loading dishes. And that's when everything clicked into place. The pieces I'd been trying to fit together for days suddenly formed a clear picture. "Maris and Lily look alike," I said slowly. "I never noticed it before. But they do. The same eyes, the same smile." Garrett's shoulders tensed. "They both have the same allergy," I continued. "Peanuts. Remember? We found out when Lily was 4. And Maris mentioned it, years ago. Said she couldn't eat peanut butter." Still, Garrett said nothing. "And they have the same energy," I said, my voice growing stronger. "That gentle, thoughtful way of being in the world. I always thought it was because Maris had helped raise Lily. That Lily had learned it from her." I stood up, walked around the table until I was facing Garrett. Until he had no choice but to look at me. "Maris Flynn is Lily's biological mother, isn't she?" Garrett's face crumpled, and I knew the truth. The housekeeper who had lived in our home for 18 years, who had raised my children, who had become my friend. She was Lily's real mother. And everyone had known except me. I called Maris the next morning. My hands shook as I dialed. She didn't answer. I called again, and again. Finally, on the 4th try, she picked up. "We need to talk," I said. My voice was steady, cold, in person, now. There was a long silence. Then, quietly, Maris said, "I'll meet you at the park. The one near the lake. 30 minutes." I got there first. Sat on a bench overlooking the water. Waited. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Maris arrived exactly on time. She walked slowly toward me. Her face was pale, drawn. She looked like she hadn't slept. She sat down beside me. Didn't say anything, just waited. "Tell me the truth," I said. "All of it. No more lies." Maris took a shaky breath. Tears filled her eyes. "Yes," she whispered. "I'm Lily's biological mother." The words hung in the air between us. Even though I'd known, even though I'd figured it out, hearing her say it out loud still felt like a punch to the chest. "How? Why?" I asked. My voice cracked. "Why did you come into my house? Why did you work for us? Why did you lie to me for 18 years? Tears streamed down Maris's face. After I gave birth to Lily, I had no job. No money. No home. I was living in a shelter. I couldn't take care of her. Not the way she deserved." She wiped her eyes with trembling hands. "I wanted Lily to have a good life. A real life. With a father who could provide for her. A stable home. Education. Opportunities. Everything I couldn't give her. So I left her with Garrett. It was the hardest thing I've ever done." "But you didn't disappear," I said. "You came back." "I tried to stay away," Maris said, her voice breaking. "I really did. For 3 months, I didn't contact Garrett. Didn't try to see Lily. But I couldn't breathe. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I needed to know she was okay. That she was safe. That she was loved." She looked at me with desperate eyes. "So I went to Garrett. Begged him to let me be part of her life. Any part. I told him I would work for him. Clean his house. Whatever he needed. Just please let me be close to my daughter." "And he agreed," I said bitterly. "He said no first, of course," Maris said softly. "But he saw how much I was suffering. He had conditions. I could never tell anyone. Never claim to be Lily's mother. Never interfere with his life. I agreed to everything. I would have agreed to anything." I stood up, paced away from the bench, turned back. "So you watched me raise your daughter. You watched me love her, care for her, and you never said a word." "I swear nothing ever happened between Garrett and me after our breakup," Maris said quickly. "Not while I was working. Not ever. That part of our lives was over. He married you. He loved you very much." "But you were there," I said, my voice rising. "Every day. Every moment. Watching. Pretending. Lying." Maris dropped to her knees on the ground in front of me. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know what I did was wrong. I know I should have told you. But I was terrified. Terrified you would fire me. Send me away. Keep me from my daughter." She looked up at me, tears pouring down her face. "Please don't tell Lily. Please. She doesn't need to know. It will only hurt her. She loves you. You're her mother. You've always been her mother. I'm nobody." I stared at this woman kneeling before me. This woman who had been part of my life for so long. Who I had trusted. Who I had considered a friend. "You're not nobody," I said quietly. "You're Lily's mother. And she deserves to know the truth." But even as I said it, I wasn't sure. Wasn't sure of anything anymore. "I need you to know this," Maris said, still on her knees. "I love Colin too, just as much as I love Lily. I raised him from the time he was born. Watched him take his first steps. Helped him with homework. Bandaged his scraped knees. He's my boy too. Both of them are my children. Not by blood with Colin, but by love. By 18 years of caring for him. Of being there for him." Her voice broke. "I love both of them so much. They're both my babies, and I know I have no right to say that. No right to claim them. But it's true." I looked at her, saw the truth in her eyes. The love, the pain, the years of sacrifice. And I didn't know what to feel anymore. Months passed. Painful, difficult months. Lily, she sensed the tension between Garrett and me. Asked questions. Pushed until we couldn't hide it anymore. We sat her down. Colin too. Told them everything in a family meeting that felt like a funeral. Lily cried. Colin held her. They both looked at Garrett with confusion. The hurt. The betrayal. They felt it just as much as I did, maybe more. "How could you lie about this?" Lily asked her father. "For my entire life?" Garrett had no good answer. Just apologies. Endless, hollow apologies. The hardest part was watching Lily process who Maris was. This woman she'd known her whole life. Who had cared for her. Made her favorite meals. Remembered every detail about her. Maris wasn't just the housekeeper. She was her mother. Through therapy. Through countless conversations. Through tears and anger and confusion. We tried to heal. Maris and I began building something new. Not friendship. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But something fragile. Something real. Two women who both loved the same girl. Who both wanted what was best for her. Maybe I was starting to understand why Maris had done what she did. Understood the impossible choice she had faced. Give up her daughter completely or watch her from the shadows. She had chosen love, even if that love meant hiding. Lying. Hurting. But Garrett was different. He had lied about the cousin's car accident, about who Lily's father was. About who her mother was. He had let his former girlfriend work in our house for 18 years. Let her raise our children while I remained ignorant. Oblivious. Garrett moved out, not because I asked him to. Because he couldn't bear to stay. The guilt was eating him alive. He called every day, begged for forgiveness. From me, from Lily, from both of us. But forgiveness doesn't come easy. Not for lies that span decades. Not for betrayals that deep. Lily told me she needed time. Time to process. Time to figure out who she was now that everything she'd believed about herself had changed. "You're still my mom," Lily said to me one evening. We were sitting in her childhood bedroom. Just the two of us. "That will never change. You raised me. You loved me. You're my real mother." Those words meant everything. I asked Lily if she wanted to see Maris. Talk to her. Maybe begin building something there too. Lily shook her head. "Not yet. I need more time." And I understood. Some wounds need time to even begin healing. One evening, months after everything came out, I invited Maris to dinner. Just the two of us at first. Then Lily agreed to come. We sat at a restaurant. 3 women bound together by love and lies and 22 years of complicated history. Maris cried. Lily cried. I cried. We didn't have answers. Didn't know what the future looked like. Didn't know if we could ever truly be a family. But we were trying. Through tears and pain and broken trust. We were trying. And maybe that was enough. For now. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more heartwarming stories to enjoy.